Hello everybody. Today we have a topic about medical education research, a basic and practical approach. It is primarily intended for medical students, but any other candidates may find it helpful. As you all know, this is the University of Khartoum, where I have graduated and obtained my degrees. The presentation outlines include the intended learning outcomes, definition of some terms, aims of medical education research, themes of medical education research, practical steps in medical education research, and finally you find quiz and references. The intended learning outcomes: by the end of this session, the learner should be able to define medical education research and state its objectives, describe the scope and themes of medical education research, list the priority areas of medical education research in his or her institution, enumerate the practical steps in conduction of medical education research, and finally to demonstrate appreciation of the importance of medical education research. So what is meant by medical education research? I guess we are going to write a few keywords before proceeding to the next slide. The definition of research in general: research is defined as a systematic process for the creation of new knowledge and or the use of existing knowledge in a new and creative way so as to generate new concepts, methodologies, and understandings. This could include synthesis and analysis of previous research to the extent that it leads to new and creative outcomes. So that was a definition of research in general. When applied to medical education, as you all know, medical education is a course of study directed toward imparting to persons seeking to become health professionals the knowledge and skills required for the prevention and treatment of disease. It also develops the methods and objectives appropriate to the study of the still unknown factors that produce disease or favor well-being. By this we mean that medical education should not be limited only to what is already known. It should include something that is not that is yet to be known. Among the goals of medical education is the production of health professionals sensitive to the health needs of their country. That is very important. The graduate should be sensitive to the health needs of their country, capable of ministering to those needs, and aware of the necessity of continuing their own education. That is very important among the components of medical education. Medical education is concerned with producing tomorrow's doctors. Students in medical education usually gain knowledge from senior individuals in the field, and then they have to add their own to that. It therefore follows that the plan of education, the medical curriculum, should not be the same in all countries because the circumstances are not the same in all situations. Therefore, there should be variations in the medical curriculum. Although there may be basic elements common to all, the details should vary from place to place and from time to time. I think this is a logic point. Therefore, the curriculum should be dynamic. It should be flexible. Whatever form the curriculum takes, ideally it will be flexible enough to allow modification as circumstances alter. Medical knowledge grows and needs change. Medical education research may include evaluation of the transfer or acquisition of knowledge, skills, or attitudes. So, the medical education research deals with the evaluation of the transfer or acquisition of knowledge, skills, or attitudes in any topic relevant to human health among any type of learner, including health professionals, students in the health professions, and patients. What is the principal aim of medical education research? Medical education research aims to advance the knowledge, skills, and professionalism of medical students by understanding and evaluating educational ecosystems. So this is the principal objective of medical education: to advance the knowledge, the skills, and the professionalism by evaluating the educational ecosystems. These ecosystems include policies related to admissions, curriculum, etc., people who serve as teachers and mentors and everybody, instructional technology and other resources for education, the attitudes that pervade a given institution or educational experience, and even the students themselves. What is the ultimate goal of medical education research? Ultimately, research in medical education is conducted to address contemporary issues and questions in medical education, design, evaluate, and support curricular innovations, assess and reform the culture underlying medical education. What themes does medical education research cover? Topics often fall into one of the 6 professional core competencies, and namely these are patient care, medical knowledge, practice-based learning and improvement, interpersonal and communication skills, systems-based practice, and professionalism. So these are the main areas for medical education research, the 6 competencies that's required by health professionals. To repeat them again: the patient care, medical knowledge, practice-based learning and improvement, interpersonal and communication skills, system-based practice, and professionalism. The outcomes of research. Legitimate outcome measures include changes in knowledge, skills, attitudes, behaviors, and even patient outcomes such as mortality, morbidity, satisfaction, etc., etc. But the major outcome of this research is to enhance change in knowledge, skills, and behaviors, or patient outcomes. The study population of medical education research include medical schools, that include students, faculty, curriculum, systems, policies, etc., etc. Residency training programs, housemanship, registrarship, residents, candidates, mentors, curricula, their trainers, and so on. The continuing medical education, these are the working health professionals concerning their activities, their outcome measures, and so on. And the patients themselves are population of medical education research. What is the importance of research in medical education? Number 1, provision of trustworthy information regarding medical education problems and their solutions. Number 2, maintaining quality of medical education. Number 3, of the importance of medical research, demonstration of specific ways in which teachers can or already do help students feel a sense of belonging in school and make gains in learning. Number 4, understanding the science of learning largely through technologies that give a real-time look at what happens in students' brain as they learn. Identifying facts regarding enrollment, retention, dropout, quality of medical education, and so forth. Building a new knowledge building new knowledge regarding the methodology, pedagogy, or other core subject areas, adding of existing stock of knowledge related to medical education field, suggestion of solutions for problems related to classroom, institution, administrative level, policy level, resources. Number 9 of the importance of research in medical education, invention of new teaching methods, curriculum development strategies, effective grouping technique, and so forth. Realizing the exact problems of medical education sector, assessing the effect of new methodology of teaching on the educational process, explore understanding of teachers' knowledge about latest evaluation techniques, and identification of the hindrances to achieve universalization of education. These are some points indicating the importance of research in medical education, and as you can see, it covers a wide range of topics. The nature and value of qualitative studies in medical education. Qualitative research is concerned with developing explanations of social phenomena, the world in which we live, why things are the way they are. It is also concerned with the social aspects of our world. So qualitative studies seek to answer the questions about why people behave the way they do, how opinions and attitudes are formed, how people are affected by the events that go on around them, how and why cultures have developed in the way they have, and why there exist differences between social groups. All these points are relevant to our research in medical education. So qualitative questions include how, why, and what. Qualitative research is a process of capturing lived-in experiences of individuals, groups, and society. It's an umbrella concept which involves variety of methods of data collection. Although the two methods of quantitative and qualitative researches often seen as antagonists, there is a growing recognition that the distinctions between the quantitative and qualitative methods of research are unnecessary. The qualitative and quantitative studies cannot be compared side by side, but for the purposes of trying to understand some key characteristics of each of the types of research, we will look at qualitative and quantitative methods and how they might complement one another. When collecting and analyzing data, quantitative research deals with numbers and statistics, while qualitative research deals with words and meanings. However, both are important for gaining different kinds of knowledge. In terms of objectives, qualitative research is inductive and aims to explore new things, insights, generate theories, patterns, themes, and hypotheses. On the other hand, quantitative research is deductive, so it investigates the validity of facts, estimates relationships, and predicts outcomes. It controls, describes, or confirms hypotheses. There is a lot more breadth to quantitative methods, whereas there is a lot more depth to qualitative methods. Qualitative research is subjective, flexible, and naturalistic, whereas quantitative, on the other hand, is experimental and uses statistics. Steps of conducting researches. Step one, identify the problem. You have to see what is the problem. Number two, review literature to broaden your mind. Number three, clarify the problem after going through the literature. Step four, clearly define terms and concepts. Step five, define the population of your study. Number six, conduct the implementation plan. And step seven, collect data. Step 8, you need to analyze the collected data. And finally, you write and publish your work. We know that a research is not a research until it is published. Each of these 9 steps, you find many details that you need to grasp. You need to know how to collect data and what are the methods. You need how to analyze data, and there are a lot of things in between these. The priority research areas, these should be agreed upon by each institution, and each country and each medical school has its own priorities to agree upon. Examples of these priority research areas: teaching methods and learning techniques, job descriptions and professional skills of graduates, quality management in education, second language in medical education and its effect, clinical education, what is happening in hospitals, science production in medicine, faculty evaluation and information technology. All these can be priority research areas in one certain situation, and that may not be the same in another situation. Why should they be priority topics for medical education? Research must add to the current knowledge by addressing clearly defined needs or questions, and the results must have the potential to affect educational practice. Therefore, they should be priorities, because we need to produce new knowledge to address the needs. A list of the top themes in medical education research cited in the 20-year review article that you may find at the end in the references. They found these as the most common areas or top themes studied: student assessment and evaluation, use of simulations, clinical skills training, admission to medical school, clinical clerkships, medical licensing exams, problem-based learning, knowledge retention, community-based training, specialty choice, clinical competence assessment, patient safety, teaching and clinical sciences, scholarship in education, communication skills training, humanities in medicine, student characteristics, teaching through lectures, objective structured clinical exam OSCE, interprofessional education, teaching the basic sciences, international medical graduates, nature of clinical reasoning, women's health, professionalism in medicine including attitudes, cultural competence, ethics, underrepresented minority students, costs of medical education, computer assisted instruction and faculty development. These may be the most commonly addressed issues by research in medical education, and under each of these titles you can make many subtitles. Can you list some topics that you consider as priority research areas in your institution? I think after seeing the previous slide you can do a lot about that. Now you have chosen a topic for research. What tool should you use to collect data? How to design a good survey tool for your research. This is the most important step, designing your tool for data collection, and once properly achieved every other step would be okay. On the other hand, if done less satisfactorily, every other step would be a mess. The common methods of data collection in qualitative research include focus group discussion and questionnaire. These are the most common two data collection tools in qualitative research, such as in medical education. A 7-step survey scale design process for medical education researchers. Number 1, conduct literature review to ensure that the construct definition aligns with relevant prior research and theory, and to identify existing survey scales or items that might be used or adapted. The second step, conduct interviews and or focus groups to learn how the population of interest conceptualizes and describes the construct of interest. Number 3, synthesize the literature review and interviews focus groups to ensure that the conceptualization of the construct makes theoretical sense to scholars in the field and uses language that the population of interest understands. The fourth step, develop items to ensure items are clear, understandable, and written in accordance with the current best practices in survey design. Number 5, conduct expert validation to assess how clear and relevant the items are with respect to the construct of interest. Number 6, conduct cognitive interviews to ensure that respondents interpret items in the manner the survey designer intends. And finally, conduct pilot testing to check for adequate item variance, reliability, and convergent discriminant validity with respect to other measures. To conduct the pilot testing among a small group of the study population, and then you modify your tool accordingly. What are the steps for developing a scholarly medical education project? Number 1, refine your study question by reviewing the literature to identify gaps, clearly state a problem and the significance of addressing it, develop conceptual framework, theory model or approach that places question within theoretical context. Define your outcomes. An outcome is the dependent variable of your study and should help you answer your specific question directly. Challenge yourself to predict the outcome of your study. What would your study suggest if your prediction was proven to be true or false? Plan to collect information about your outcome in an unbiased manner. Number 3, identify designs and methods to enable you to study your outcome, such as observations, determine the relationships or associations between variables. This is an observational study. The second type of study design, experiment or experimental study. You study the effect of changing one variable on another. Number 3, qualitative research. Study the reasons behind certain behaviors and decisions, as we have said earlier. Number 4, validations. Collect evidence to test and predict the predictive value of scoring in instruments, for example, course evaluations. Number 5, surveys. Ask questions to better understand subjects' characteristics. Number 6, systematic reviews, and this usually use an established method or criterion to summarize previously published studies. So these are the study designs that you can use in your research. How do I develop a research question? Sometimes the hardest part of a research project is coming up with an idea that is feasible, can have meaningful impact, and has not already been done. These are the important facts about an idea that is researchable. It should be visible, it should have impact, and it should have not been already done. How do I develop a research question? Limiting the scope of your idea to a time frame and level of effort that won't unduly interfere with your ongoing studies is also challenging, because medical students are always busy and they do not have ample time. Therefore, the study time should be adequate for your study. Thankfully, ideas don't spring from a vacuum, and medical students are not expected to independently lead something they have never done before. Ideas emerge from mindfully participating in everyday experience with others. A great way to generate research questions is to participate in ongoing educational innovations at your home institution. The more you participate, the best foresight you gain. Collaborate as a junior partner in ongoing medical education projects and build relationships with others at your institution who are doing medical education research. You will gain a lot by collaborating and joining and making relationships with your seniors, and particularly those who are researchers. Finally, we have a summary and take-home messages. What are the practical steps in research conduction? Number one, sharpen your ideas, research questions, objectives, and outcome indicators. The second point, think of an appropriate action plan that includes dates, logistics, and cost. Number three, write your research proposal as draft and then refine its items. Number four, plan well for the implementation phase and consider minor details. Number five, document everything you do immediately, otherwise you are going to forget a lot of details and your study may miss certain important points, particularly in the methodology. Number six, passion, consistency, and patience are the most essential ingredients of success in all aspects of life, including medical education research. You should have passion, you should be compassionate, you should have eagerness, and you should be keen to research. You should be consistent and continuous, and you should be patient. Always keep in touch with seniors and experts, even if you are not in 100% agreement with their views. This is very important advice you take from me, that you always keep in touch with seniors. They will guide you, they will drive you safely. The backbone of research writing, that is to say the manuscript, is similar whatsoever the type of research. We abbreviate it as IMRAD. That includes the introduction section, the methods, the results, and discussion. And under each of these four basic parts of manuscript writing, there are many details that you need to master. So in the introduction you have to provide literature. In the methods, it includes also obtaining ethical approval from institutions, and so on and so forth. Number 9, research is a practical skill, not theoretical knowledge. It's similar to football. It is a science of trial and error. You cannot just recognize the important points of research without doing research. You have to do. You have to go into it first, and then you are going to learn. As you are going to learn. Whatsoever knowledge you have in your mind, you cannot recognize research appropriately unless you go into the field of research. Number 10, adequate language skills and knowledge of basic statistical methods are essential tools in research. However, they may not be so essential if you are a team member, because other players may compensate for this. But it is important that you should develop your own language skills and your own statistical methods, even if you are part of a team. Number 11, and this is the most important point I also give you here, teamwork. Teamwork is the essence of research. You have to be part of a team. Would you expect the football player Lionel Messi to succeed if he played alone for Barcelona? The answer is definitely no. He needs the rest of the team. Yet he is the best player, but he needs the rest of the team. This is the quiz sections. You have to try to answer by yourself. So stopping the video and then try to give some answers. And thank you very much for your attention and listening to this session. I hope this will inspire you or give you something to help you in your future career. Thank you very much once again. You'll find some further readings and references for this study and nice publications. Alright, thank you very much.